Welcome back to the Gym Owners Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Stone. Over there, we've got John Fairbanks. How are you doing, John?
I'm lovely, Tyler. It's cold. I'm going to say it. It's
In
cold
Virginia.
where I'm at.
I'm in South Dakota.
Cold for Virginians.
All right. Guys, I want to get into something here. I think the subject of appealing to beginners, newcomers, etc., I think if you feel like we've been beating up that topic too much, this episode's not going to be for you. And also, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think gym ownership and coaching is for you. Right? If you're tired of hearing like, hey, how can we connect more with new people? How can we connect more with people who are not experiencing fitness and healthy eating and those who need it? If that bothers you and that idea is not for you, then this is not the show for you. It doesn't mean gym ownership fully isn't. It doesn't mean coaching fully isn't. There's plenty of people need to go out there and coach performance to high athlete people who are performing. And if that's the impact you want to have in the world, that's great. But if you're only seeking business from people that already do fitness, you understand that you are cutting out a massive, massive, massive demographic, which is the people that are not fit, right? You know what I'm saying? Like selling food to hungry people, like shit, those people need fucking food. Okay, selling fitness to people who are not fit yet seems like your ideal target market, right? I run into this issue when I have these discussions with coaches that have been coaching for a long time. And the issue is they think way too far downstream from what some of these beginners really are and what their thought process
like
is. Out the gate, completely, honestly.
Yeah.
And even by the time someone starts coaching, you've already spent too many years as a fit person. And by the way, this is not me calling out anyone in particular, but I do remember one of the coaches and stuff we work with had a post. It was like, and I liked the post. It was like, when I was a teenager, people are like, oh, wait till you go to college and you'll put on your freshman 15. He's like, well, I didn't. I ate healthy and I did all this stuff. And then we'll wait till you have kids and you put on the weight. Well, I didn't. I stayed focused and healthy. And then wait till you turn 40. Well, now we turn 40 and he's not fat and stuff. And he's kept his eye on the prize the whole time. And that's good. That's what we should hope, that all people will get that opportunity and have that will early on in life, right? That really is the goal, I think, long term, for when we talk about making America healthy, is that people don't have to just assume or expect to get fat once they get out of high school. It's that they are equipped with not only the information, but also the skills and habits and understanding that they need to be fit as they get older. But this is a person who owns a gym. This is one of many, but this is just a similar thing. It's like, you still need to get people who are starting. And if you've been fit and jacked your whole life, boy, you need to make effort then to connect with the thought process of the beginner. You really do. And unless you don't want new business, if you're already flush and you're already set and you've already got your market and you're doing great, that's fine. But I saw, do we want to get into the specific conversation about the one we brought up yet? Or do we want to move?
What I would love to do, because as soon as you shared a couple of these stories over the last week with me, and I'm like, all right, we definitely need to talk about this on the pod. But it was like, I think the best framing and how we framed it here in the beginning, which is this idea of like, this is oftentimes a lot of the coaches that we work with that don't look like melted ice cream, and they're a coach and they're a gym owner and they do look really good. They've looked good for a long time. And like you said, there's this cognitive dissonance away, like you're just too far removed from people that maybe have stories that are similar to yours and I's. And maybe that is why we're so like more
maybe this is our like
preconceived.
This is our bias, and maybe that is absolutely the case. But our bias is in favor of the 200 million people that are currently obese or overweight in our country.
That's what I wanted to hit on, because what really I think frames it is that while we may be inherently biased, and we can call that out, this also, what we keep talking about, continues to get reinforced because we are working with people that are beginners. And you had an interesting back and forth with a nutrition client, with somebody that really highlighted what are the types of problems, what are the types of barriers that true beginners are putting in front of themselves. I don't know how comfortable you are to share some of those details.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share no details about the individual, and I'm not going to post any clips necessarily about this, because I don't want this person to feel bad. And I actually have an update that seems to be going well as things can be 4 or 5 days in, which is good. But I have somebody who's, I'd say, nearly 400 pounds and like extremely, extremely obese, who finally reached out based on some of the successes of, one of my other clients who's lost 150 pounds or so over the last year and a half, and was ready to go, right? And all the signs Perfect. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm committed. Yeah, here's what I want to do. Just signed up, paid, went right away. Day one, checked in with me in the morning on time with the breakfast that he's supposed to eat and then the weight on the scale. It's okay, cool, sounds good. And an hour later, then I get a message with this sending me a thing of a TikTok video, and it says, "Hey, can I switch this out for my dinner?" And I looked at it, and it was Philly cheesesteak, cheesy, creamy pasta, like a pasta casserole. And my first thought, I went, "Ha ha, are you joking?" No, can I maybe switch? And it's like, oh, so for those of you, I have like a 5-week journey that I have a 5-week kind of like weight loss journey where they got to go through and build some good habits over 5 weeks. And we touch on a few of the possible concepts that they should learn and experiences I think they should have to equip them to lose weight afterwards. It's not a 5-week crash weight loss thing. It's a 5-week, like, learn how to lose weight and learn how to eat so that you continue to lose weight program.
Truly built for beginners.
Truly built for beginners, because it's like, I'm not making you count calories. I'm not making, you're gonna have to use a food scale, but like, here's the range, right? You're gonna have 8 to 15 ounces of fucking meat today. If you're trying to lose weight faster, you're full, eat less of that. You know what I mean? Like, there's a range of things, there's a range of acceptable options. But in this process, the first thing, the reason, by the way, I've had people come say, "Hey, can I have this snack?" Like halfway between breakfast and lunch. And the snack that they're writing is a healthy snack. And it's like a pre-made convenient thing. And it's not terrible. Healthy isn't a term I like to use anymore. It's just it's a decent amount of protein and not an excessive amount of calories type snack. But I tell these people, no, fuck no, absolutely not. What the fuck are you thinking? Because it's not about whether this snack or this food item is something you can ever eat again. The issue is you can't do you can't follow a plan for a day. That's the problem, right? You couldn't follow any plan for a day without resorting to fucking cheesy Philly cheesesteak, fucking pasta casserole shit. Like, what the fuck, dude? You came here wanting change and you don't want to change anything. So the reason I'm a hard ass on this stuff early on is like, no. I don't care honestly, it wouldn't matter if I told you only get to drink water for 7 days. It's like, fine, fuck it. Fuck you. Right? You're just gonna do something different than what you're doing for 7 days. That's like the first phase of this. Is doesn't even matter what this stuff is that I'm having you do, though I do much more reasonable things than that. It doesn't matter what it is that I'm having you do. It's that you just do something different than normal, please. And any pushback I get to that in the beginning is a sign that I'm like, they're already really hanging on to this. Whatever the routine, their existing stuff, their habits, their cravings, all of this, they're hanging on so much. It's like a kid asking, "Are we there yet?" Before you've even left town. You're like, "Hey, motherfucker, I hate to break it to you, buddy, but this is not it." And I kind of went off a little bit because it frustrates me. And I think as a coach who knows that mindset, when someone comes to me wanting to lose a lot of weight, one of the things that helps and hurts me in this business is that I actually care. Not only do I actually care, once they start with me, I have the ability to see. I can see. This is a way to be disappointed in people, by the way. I can already see the person that they can become. That potential, the new potential human and all the progress that they made, that potential exists in my brain the moment they come to me. Because I've seen it happen before. I've seen it happen to people like them. So I get, yes, good. Because this current version of you, I don't fucking like. And neither do you. That's why you came to me.
Yeah.
Right? That's why you came to me. I don't like this version of you any more than you do. I'm not even bothered trying to stay attached to this version of you necessarily. Let's go on and let's work on becoming this other guy who loses 100 pounds, 150 pounds, 200 pounds, 80 pounds, whatever that is, who now has new habits and new skills and discipline and is proud of the things he does every day and feeds himself, fuels himself well and feels good and has energy for his family and all that shit, right? I see that in the person as soon as they start working with me. They don't. They think it's not possible. They go one half of one day eating like a reasonable person, and they go, "I don't know if I can do this. Let me get some fucking cheesy pasta. I need cheesy pasta." To the point where you're asking me, by the way, if you just fucking lie, just eat it and lie. The fact that you're going to come to me, I said somewhere in that dialogue, I said, if I let you have fucking cheesy Philly cheesesteak pasta on your first day, when you have, if I'm being totally honest, 180 pounds to lose, I would be the worst fucking coach on earth. So no, absolutely not. But that thing where I can see the progress, I can identify that I see the person that they can become. It gets very frustrating then when I see them choose to stop short of that. When I see them in their own way, it breaks my little heart. It makes me very, very mad. On the other side of this, though, it makes me very well equipped to know what type of bullshit is coming my way. And I know what they're doing when they do this stuff. But that is a singular example of what these like regular folks who have some weight to lose are like. Not super educated on food. They really are so off base with their habits. He understands that's off plan. He has no idea how out of fucking bounds that is, right? No idea, right? And that there are options he could have that will have him be just as full, maybe not as savory and creamy as delicious, but just as full for like 1/8 of the calories, right? So he just doesn't understand the game we're playing at all. And I think that takes me to this next point that we talked about, which is in the Make America Healthy Again stuff, where they're worried about, removing dyes and magical ingredients and whatever else, like, which I'm probably for all of them. We'll get into the regulation side of it in a little bit, but I'm kind of in favor of a lot of that stuff, but it misses the point. It's not that those things shouldn't be addressed. It's that it is not the primary fucking problem for the people who need the help the most, right?
And because the people that need the help the most, if you think about where they're at, there is no, well, the fried chicken, it's chicken. You said I need protein, so I got fried chicken, or I could do this. I can have a Salisbury steak, or I can have these. Everything now is like, it's like, right, but it doesn't. You got to understand, we can't just continue to douse everything in gravy and fry it, even if fucking
if it's dripping
RFK
from your grass-fed fucking steak, and you know what I mean, and that's all. It's great, but like some of that stuff can just go in the garbage. It doesn't have to go in your body, dude. Like you don't have to put all that fat in your body at the end of the fucking meal.
And the point you're making, which is the people that are truly beginners, they don't realize how far off base they are. Like we're not even in the parking lot of the ballpark we're supposed to be in. Like we're so far off base. We're so far lost that it is the idea that you're going to tell people, well, no, like fried chicken with vegetable oil is bad, but fried chicken with beef tallow is good. It's like, there's so much nuance in what you just said.
And the words bad and good are a problem. Healthy and unhealthy now are the problem. And it's tall and short. John, you and I are both pretty tall. I've met some people that make me feel pretty short, right? There's a lot of people that you and I might be the tallest people they run into all day, all week, all month, right? Plenty out there.
But I was definitely the smallest of all of my friends in college. Like it was exactly. Like, yeah.
Healthy and unhealthy are just, it's just, where does this exist? Somewhere along this. Healthier, maybe, but based in what context? There's no reason that this guy who wanted the cheesy meat, creamy pasta shit, and I keep bringing that up, who wanted that. There's no reason that in the long run that couldn't just be a reasonable cheat meal throughout the week. There's also no reason that couldn't have been eaten in real moderation, right? Because you'll get these food dorks that are like, listen, a person can have sugar or dessert or whatever. You can't. And while that's true, these are not the games that I want my people playing in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like
not now.
You can go through a drug addiction recovery process and maybe come out of it 20 years later, be like, you know what? I actually can have a few drinks from time to time. I can smoke a little pot evenings and not destroy my life. But there are some people who definitely shouldn't. And also none of those people should very early on in the process, because it's a slippery slope. And that's the thing with all this. If anything that does not change, in my opinion, when we're talking real weight loss, like real weight loss from beginners, anything that's not changed from your current routine is a problem. That's the way there's a reason when you join the military, what do? They uproot you. They take you. You're going to sleep in their beds. You're going to wake up on their time. You are going to get trained and taught, and you're going to have to feel all the spectrums of emotion and fear under fatigue and stress and duress and all this shit. This has to be done because you get to experience nothing of your regular life until in the end, We've rewritten some of your software, and now you become the type of guy that blows up your Cybertruck in Vegas. And I'm just kidding.
We got to shoot yourself
but
first.
now you become the person that we wanted you
Yeah.
to be, and you have the skills and you have the capabilities to start moving towards being, in the military's case, a soldier. In our case, just a regular, reasonably fit, healthy person who has the ability to improve their health on their own.
The skills is really important, what you just said there, right? That you have the tool. We always talk about the idea of and I'm sure they use this this metaphor when you played football as well, but the idea of like, are you a toolbox guy? Are you a guy that's going to come to work? You've got your toolbox. We're going to give you tools to put in your toolbox, and you're going to be a guy that comes and he's just coming to go to work every day, right? It was a phrase that got used a lot for us. And the idea is that there's a lot of our people that their tools are fucking jelly donuts and gas station burritos. That's what they're pulling out of their toolbox right now. The idea to eat healthy means it's all fucked up. So like their wires are so crossed. So the idea that it's like, if you don't have the tools to be able to be successful, one, it's really easy to confuse those people and misdirect them of where we want to go. And there'll be plenty of conspiratorial topic on this episode. But the idea is that then it becomes increasingly important to know that we have a confused populace.
Correct.
By design.
Misled, not just confused.
That's fair. Yeah. Right? Is that they truly are ignorant to what they don't know. And then the people that are supposed to be telling them, government agencies, people that are supposed to be in the health industry, right? It's these things where all of a sudden and to be fair, I'm treating, and I do want to go a little bit at, and I'll let you do it, but I do want to go a little bit at the personal trainers and the coaches and the gym owners that are out there that are getting confused, because for me, I view them like the doctors that are prescribing fucking opioids at the very beginning of the fucking problem, which is no, I believe from on high, they say that this is safe. They say, well, you can do this. And then you're just going along with that. Meanwhile, you're fucking ignoring all the anecdotal evidence of every fatty boombatty 2x4 that's walking around you, that's rocking thunder thighs, that's going to die, that's now leading their children to be morbidly obese, to where it just is like, how could you be so confused? You know what you see with your eyes, and yet you continue to toe this party line that come on now.
So let's jump into this real quick. We got a message from a guy who's a gym owner, former gym owner, and I won't go into too much into detail because I like this person a lot. A lot of respect from him for a really long time, professionally and personally. Traveled the world, seen this guy in many different places, right? Good guy. But I think he was confused as to what we were getting at when we were saying, made the post that said, I'll paraphrase a little bit, but kind of my stance on, regulating these food dyes is not enough. Removing some of these ingredients from foods is great, but it's not what's going to solve the problem. These people still need to actually learn how to eat to lose weight, not just to eat sustainably. They actually have to get the fucking fat off. So slapping food dye, yellow dye, whatever, making all of a sudden now Fanta, full sugar Fanta, isn't hard orange, it's light orange, and now it's all of a sudden healthy. That's fucking wrong. Okay. And whatever they want to do on the larger food supply stuff, whatever. And we'll get into that later. But that was my stance, essentially, is like, these people are going to start frying all their food in beef tallow. McDonald's will switch back to beef tallow, and then people are going to start going to McDonald's again because it's healthier. Quote, healthier. Healthy TM. Trademark healthy. Absolutely not. This is not the system that we can allow to be installed in our country. And so this coach and gym owner came and he said, well, you kind of understand what we're saying, except that just because you and I don't really know what these food dyes and ingredients do to our bodies doesn't mean that other people don't. Which is the
also,
first,
by the way,
there's the first point I want to
which
is the first point I want to diffuse, by the way, because other people do. Is this the same other people, these trademark science? The same trademark science people that were saying that, like, it's actually like healthy animal fats that are the problem, and you should be using margarine and you should be using seed oils, and like sugar's actually fine. Like, this trademark science shit is kind of heavily corrupted anyway. So depending on any of their fucking opinions about this, I don't fucking care. I don't give a shit. You know why? I'm not here and also to assume that I'm here advocating for fucking the like inclusion of dyes and poisonous questionable ingredients in the food is insulting to my fucking mission, first off, because I'm not. right? We are absolutely on track with saying, I want just eat real foods, dude. John, you've seen my nutrition program. So is he. There is nothing in, like, it is avoiding all processed foods. That is the fucking name of the game. So that's the first point there, which is like, yo, first off, like, just because we don't know other people do, is this the same? This the same people that said safe and effective on some fucking vaccine shit? Must take it. Like, oh no, is this the same science that created the disease that now we have to do the safe and effective decision on? Fuck all of these people. Do not trust these people. Trust yourself and just eat real ingredients. That's step one. This is the most basic shit. Go ahead, John.
But Tyler, this is so much deeper than that.
Yes.
You got to realize that we're so far off the fucking God, how about that for a West Coast phrase? We're so far off the fucking reservation on this, right? The reality is that it's one, this person knows you. And for all of you that listen, we've been going harder at this lately, but it's Tyler and I are not exactly, we're not the lock and step people. So let's say fair and square, we understand that we're going to be more conspiratorial minded individuals anyway, right? The red dye thing was a fucking conspiracy 20 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
So you're trying to tell me
bad our foods forever. You think I've been out here consuming this shit on purpose? Fuck no.
But also to assume that it's like, well, apparently you all don't know. It's like, bitch, I've been so far deep into that the Nazis run the Arctic and the world that red dye was 15 fucking years ago, man. Like, what are you talking? You know what I mean? Like, the idea is like, yeah, no shit, dude. The same people that were anti-vax that were working to be able to get religious exemption forms back when it was a goddamn psyop. You know what I mean? Like, back when it was like they were trying to fucking sabotage the idea. Like, we're so beyond the looking glass where now the science people are now trying to convince us that red dyes are bad. It's like
we've
what
been
the fuck
here,
are
dude.
you
What
talking about? That's why the assumption that it's like, well, if you and your other you guys don't know what you're talking about, it's like, no, dude, like we've actually left that
never
so far. Yeah. Correct.
And the other thing, this is the equivalent of someone coming in and going like, I don't know if you guys know this, but did you know that there really weren't any WMDs in Iraq post 9/11? Did you know that? Thanks, bud. We're here. We've already covered this, man. I don't know what to say. So I'm not on the like hunt and retribution, but I do want to give him the credit where the credit is due, which is here's the point he was kind of trying to make, which I want to give him his due here. Was it like, I don't agree with it, but he goes, he said basically that you might kind of agree with what we're saying and may work for people that are very early on in their journey and beginners early on in their journey. But the problem is there is poisonous ingredients and problems with our food supply because there are people who have eaten just as we described, which is very healthy and eating just vegetables and meats and yada, yada, yada. And they've done this for decades and then they still get cancer. So people get multiple cancers in the last year that he's known who have been healthy and fit, maintain a low body fat. Great. I hate to break it to you. Now, here's my point. Not great. That's not great that people get cancer. Whatever.
No, right? It's very sad.
Here's the thing. Okay. These, quote, beginners who are at the beginning of your journey, 74% of Americans, not American adults, Americans. That's my thing. That's not even controlled for children. Okay, 74% of Americans are overweight, or obese. It's like 240, 250 million people. Okay, so we're just going to walk right past these beginners because your friend somebody you know who has abs and had been nutritionally disciplined and fit and worked out and been lean his entire life for decades, ended up getting cancer. Now that's sad. There's plenty of other reasons it can cause cancer. Also, living is just going to give you cancer if you live long enough. There's just plenty of ways that people die, and cancer is kind of at the top of that list. And it's not just food. And I'm not saying that anybody should go out here and eat all the food dyes and start huffing Monsanto fucking spray. But I do fully believe that you're missing the point. And the point here is that these beginners who need to actually know how to manage their weight, like that is the fucking primary problem. We're going to remove the dyes and these people are still going to get diabetes. These people are still going to be overweight. They're still going to die of heart failure. They're still going to get cancer. Okay. And so that's the biggest thing I think that he's missing here too, is that like as a gym, a gym that's no longer open. If you guys out here own gyms, what is the marketing that is directed to you from consultants? People who like John and I, who are not as morally and ethically aligned. What are they always trying to sell you? New members,
More
new
people,
leads, new
more
members,
humans.
new
Yeah.
leads, new members, new leads. And if you, as a gym owner, if any gym that's out there swimming in leads, swimming in new clients, getting tons of results, and fucking just crushing it financially, those gyms don't close. So every gym out there that's struggling, or they're just turning to look. By the way, there's a reason all those essentially like predatory consultants that are just blasting you with shit, 50 members in 30 days, 30 members in 30 days, 90 members in 90 days, or it's all free. That's the whole fucking song that they sing here. That's just it. It's just commoditizing members. That is to like literally accomplish the one thing that you're missing the boat on here, which is, oh, I should try to get some of these beginners. I should fucking maybe direct some of my shit towards these beginners instead of looking past and I'm just going to assume this is not the truth. This is not an accurate thing to do here, but I'm just going to assume the 74% of overweight and of people that are overweight and obese. Let's just pretend that metric is the same in every town, right? Just for the sake of argument, right?
Sure, argument.
So you're going to not do business with not even attempt to do business with the 3/4 of the people in your town that need your services the most. I'm a plumber, but I don't really work on people who have indoor plumbing or who want it. Okay, well, you're going to have a fucking hard time getting new business. I don't know what to say. What are people supposed to call you for? Right? How many? Oh, I said, I don't need any plumbing, but I'll call you around just to hang out. Fuck. Okay, this is not a situation where we can separate like a larger concept as far as like we're going at the weight loss and we're going at the fucking quality of the foods and it being like, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Poison is the term now that healthy, I don't like. Healthy, unhealthy, I don't like poison in the food. It's just too, all that seems like it's too much, what's the word? Like branding. Necessarily.
Well, what's
like,
a shame
these are
is we've
planted
talked
terms.
about it for years, though.
And these are planted terms now in our vernacular right now that are made to be not even polarizing, but it's made to like carry something. So when say, well, it's not really poison; it was an accident. Okay, was it still poison? I don't fucking know. Sugar poison? Maybe not really. But if you get hooked to it and have too much, it's probably not good, right? But connecting all of those dots, missing the boat and thinking that we need to make these massive sweeping legislation and give government tons more power in order to remove some problematic ingredients, that is incomplete. And I think anytime the government and the larger discussion in the media around any issue that involves us as human beings, anytime that scope is narrowed up and there's people out there trying to like avoid you from broadening the conversation, that's a problem, right? We'll talk about a little bit how, like, you know, some of these other, I'm trying to get into other issues that aren't just conspiratorial, but I keep going back to like this fucking COVID vaccine thing. It's like this thing came out and everyone's like, yep, it will stop you from transmitting it and you won't get sick and you won't get it. And then they kept walking all of that stuff back to the point where like, yeah, you're going to get it and you're going to get sick. Oh, it turns out you're also going to get sick from it. Like, well, what are we doing here? But the moment now that stuff is kind of known, but you want to broaden the conversation and go, well, maybe we need to talk about how this virus got out into the world. Because now the lab leak, that was the lab that was funded by Americans, funded by our NIH, like funded by our people, the same funding that turned around and then was going to subsidize the pharmaceutical companies to the tunes of billions and trillions of dollars over the course of the life of this vaccine, if this thing worked. Those are the same entities. So they created a problem, then sold us a solution to it. It wasn't really the fucking solution, right? So they made money on both ends of this deal, and we're the ones dying, and we're the ones getting sick. That seems to be a fucking problem. So, but anytime you want to zoom out a little bit and go, hey, can we talk about not just whether this vaccine worked or didn't work or what adverse effects are, like, can we make sure that we're talking about how this happened and so that it doesn't happen again? Because this didn't just emerge from nature, you fucking idiots. The same trademark science dorks that made this vaccine are the ones making trillions of dollars, or that made this virus are out here making trillions of dollars on the vaccine. That seems to be fucking something we should talk about. Someone should be held accountable. By the way, then start zooming out and say accountability. Who gets their fucking rope for this? Oh, nobody. We want to make sure all of these people are pardoned, and we can't be having any of this. So that's how you know, okay? The discussion will only go so far, and that's where the red flags are for you and I. Because with this, the discussion is only going so far, and it's not going to the point of anything beyond a increase in regulatory power for our government, an increase in regulation. hey, we got to get those things out of the ingredients out of the food. Great, ban them, enforce it, however you got to do. Do not, you guys as people, and you guys as gym owners, and you guys as members of your community, do not let that be where the conversation ends. That's the biggest problem. People need to be informed. People need guidance, and you out there as a gym owner who's trying to be successful in your community, both financial and in regards to spreading health in your community, you actually need fucking new people. So these quote beginners who, like, the few people I guess out there that maybe need to, like, that rhetoric, that fucking whole train of thought, but that's a problem now that you and I have identified as gym owners, and in speaking to gym owners and coaches over the last decade, is that these people are too far in it. They can't see the forest through the trees. I get up and go to the gym every fucking day. I'm a big personal responsibility guy. I get up, I'm fit. I get up in the morning. John, I get up every morning, I microwave fucking egg whites and I eat them. Right? And I make them 11 ways and they're all mostly boring. Okay? Some days I also don't eat any food until the evening. And I work out and I train martial arts. I do a lot of things, but I am not fucking dumb enough or fucking self-absorbed enough to know or to assume that everybody else is capable of jumping to that. Okay, that level, like, to just be like, well, why don't people just do this? And that's what sucks. And that's what I think the kind of highfalutin science types in the fitness, your Lane Nortons, your Mark Israetels, while they're kind of right, absolutely, as far as like what ingredients are, what calories do, and all this shit, they're right, I guess. And they're right for advocating personal responsibility. I don't like sitting here and going like, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having ice cream. You just can't have too much of it. I'm like, great. But if you're a big, giant, fat person, right now, I need you to not have any ice cream, at least for this week. Okay, can we start with that?
And I want to think it's like, also, it's asking that question, who are you advocating for and why? Because I think that was one of the biggest things that we jumped on, which is like, okay, well, like, I get it. Yep, the dude, he ate healthy for 40 years. He got cancer. It was terrible. It makes no sense. Why did this happen? And the why is what's important. You got to ask the question why, because that is what leads you down the rabbit holes to conspiracy, by the way, right? Like it's the question of why, and then following the money or figuring that out. All that remains true. But are you going to, you're staking your claim and you're putting your flag in the ground for what? 0.0001% of the population? Or who do you think really needs advocation for? Who do you need to advocate for? Yeah. It's probably, the 75% of people that aren't doing those things. The
person who's already lean and has eaten clean for decades, you know what they're going to do? They're going to figure it out even when the system comes out and those things get banned. They're going to, like, great, they will benefit from that as well. But that is such a marginal change in regards to the health of our population as a whole. And obesity is the crisis. That's the one we want to zoom into. John, here's the whole point that I was trying to make earlier too, which is while cancer sucks, right? And bad ingredients in the food making us actually sick suck. But obesity is a sickness. And it's like a fucking all-encompassing sickness that can make it be a comorbidity that can make anything kill you. Okay. Just because I would rather see people lose weight or make sure that there's some emphasis placed on weight loss than just attacking these food dyes and God knows whatever else. It doesn't mean that I hope everybody gets fucking cancer and dies. It's just not my goddamn mission here. Like, I'd be railing against cigarettes too. Right? Have you ever heard me on this thing go, we need to ban cigarettes because there's fucking, no, I don't fucking know, man. That's just not my quest. There are plenty of noble quests out there. So if yours is to go out there and make sure that people that have been able to maintain less than 10% body fat for their entire adult life, who don't make poor food decisions, you can advocate for them, go for it. And if your business depends on getting those people to do business with you, you're fucking swimming in a pretty shallow pond. That's all I got to say. Okay. In your town, 74% of those people are overweight or obese. And you're worried about the fucking one guy. Like, again, it's not that guy doesn't matter, but you're walking over a fucking dollar to pick up a dime. And eventually you're going to run out of fucking dimes and then you're fucked. And that's why these gyms close. Everything is out there to commoditize getting new leads for you guys. Everything. And if you don't figure the fuck out how you're going to get a hold of these new people, like truly beginners, and how you're going to help them, that number is going to continue to grow, and you're going to continue speaking way over their fucking heads about shit that doesn't matter to them. Get 20 pounds off a motherfucker. That's what I'm saying. First mission, go out there this month. Can you get 20 pounds off motherfucker this month? Can you? Can you attract someone, and this whole process, can you market to that tune? Can you sing that song and attract some people who want to lose 20 pounds? And then can you actually help them accomplish it? Because from there is a real mission that has a real difference. By the way, what does this parroting some other talking points on my goddamn Instagram, does that actually advocate for that guy? Is that going to plus or minus any of the, is that going to move the needle at all on whether or not this stuff is allowed to go through our government? No, none at all, none. What I speak to on that same video, if a normal, regular person watches it, I go, oh, I learned something today. I learned that, you know what? Fucking Philly goddamn cheesesteak, cheesy, creamy pasta is not it. Maybe that's not where it's at. Maybe I should eat regular ingredients because I do need to keep the calories low. We can't just remove the garbage. Oh, that's a great way to keep the calories low, not eating processed food. But that's not it. That we're starting to redirect their attention from the mission at hand. And I think you're going to see so many fat people. I promise you're going to see so many people who have weight to lose, and they're just going to be like, oh, good, they switched the Fanta. Now I'll drink pale orange Fanta, and I'm going to fucking lose a bunch of weight. And that ain't how it's going to be, buddy.
And to focus too, because if you're not careful and you listen to what the principle of where we're going at, especially when we start talking about government regulatory bodies and those types of things, right? If what's being presented is that we want to be able to make people healthier. And the question that we ask is then why are we zooming so tight into food dyes and seed oils? Like, why is that what we're doing? And a larger question is what we know, or what we state what we know to be true, which is the government will always regulate against something that you don't want. And then they will always subsidize something that they do want. And you can take the whole history of all the examples, whether it's the COVID vaccine, whether it is California making it illegal for insurance companies to be able to raise the price of insurance. So that's illegal. So they just dropped all the people that happen to live in California in these major fire lanes. Well, they just dropped their insurance completely, where any other state, they could have just made it more expensive. Well, why? Why would that regulation have happened? Again, that's not the point of the podcast, right? That's not the point of us going, but those whys lead us to conspiracies. But here's the bigger question. It all started with the question of, are we really in the business of trying to make people healthier? And if we say that is truly the question, then all of us collectively can say then, well, what would our actual recommendations be really? If you really were going to try and make everybody in your world healthier, Tyler, what the first thing we do is to go and tell Kraft and Post that they need to remove red dye 47?
Can't be having powdered cheese. All right. Well,
probably not where we would start.
And here's the deal. The issue is not, and let's talk about this. The issue is not that these red dyes are in the food and the whatever. I'm just using the dyes, but I'm sure there's a fucking list, right?
Seed oils, whatever it is.
But it's not that these things are in the food. It's that people are buying them. So I'm not a big fan of us like weaponizing our government to go in and tell businesses what to do, because we think they're going to go at big farm, big business, and all the big fucking food companies. And while that might be the case, I think they have enough lobbying power to make sure that some of this gets weaponized against their own competition first. That's kind of my big concern. But do you know how we can make sure that these items are not in the food? We inform the population of what is and isn't good or bad, and we make sure that we have a population that actually chooses to eat healthy. And I promise you, if that's 74% of our country that's overweight or obese right now, if they all chose to not eat those things that had those ingredients would not be in that food all fucking night. Gone. Okay. There is a consumer first pathway to this, which is don't buy it, Lunchbox. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, right. I don't get it. And this goes further because some of these talks are, well, it's also pesticides. But I don't know, fucking rinse your goddamn vegetables. I don't know what to say. All right. And maybe there's a pathway too. The other thing is maybe we need to look into this more as well. And I'm all about research, like truly decent, not financially corrupt not fucking like lobbying funded government research projects towards trademark science here to get to the bottom of this, because Monsanto is going to end up funding one way or another through the universities that are doing it, through scholarship programs, through grants, through donations, whatever. Monsanto is going to fund the research that's going to get this thing done, hands down. And if the government is the one funding it, how do you suppose Monsanto could possibly influence who those studies are done on and how they're done and where they're done? By lobbying. So they can lobby to the people who decide where that money goes to do that research. So trust me, Monsanto gets a fucking vote in this science. I promise. I promise. So my recommendation is we do need to inform people. Okay. That's the big one. We need to start with families. We need to start schools. There needs to be a whole thing where people need to have a real understanding. The problem is trademark science has been way too cloudy on nutrition stuff for so long, just for the same reasons we're talking about today, that what curriculum would we have taught in school about how you should eat? Where does that go? Well, but my kid's a vegan, right? There's all this bullshit. Now you start running into all this. So you're going to have to actually, this becomes much more of a politically incorrect discussion than I think people think, which is like, this is going to be an argument all the way through and through about what is right and wrong with. That's the big issue. So I think first off, I do believe caloric balance needs to be taught. Calorie balance, caloric deficit, and I do believe the importance of protein is important. I had a client who went into a doctor. This client has lost a ton of weight. He's lost nearly 150 pounds and has only lost 8 pounds of muscle. Okay, he lifts weights and he eats almost all protein.
Oh, okay.
It's almost it. So he's essentially living a high-fat keto life. It's just that fat is coming off his own body. That's what it really is. Now, that's a goddamn fucking, it's nearly a goddamn miracle, right? That level of thing. But he went into his doctor and she was impressed as well because he has all the charts. He does body scans every day and showed it to her. And his doctor said, yeah, I try to recommend that most of my patients get around 50 grams of protein a day.
It's a meal?
You fucking out of your goddamn mind. Because these, by the way, that's great if they're having 50, for whatever, if they have 50 grams of protein, then it should be pretty easy to stay under 1,500 calories. Right?
You think?
And yet they're not. So if you're having only 50 grams of protein and you're eating 3,000 calories a day, 4,000 calories a day, what use is any of those other calories or most of them? Nothing. It's just going to get stored as fat. And so I think the role that protein plays, I think the role of caloric deficit and surplus, I think that needs to be taught at a very early age. I think kids need to be taught to read food labels at an early age. I think we used to teach people how to bake pies and bake cakes in home ec class. And they teach it, they talked about how they should teach kids how to balance their checkbook. Well, we actually did. My home ec class. That was one of the things we did, was mock checkbook balancing. And fucking whatever. Now you don't need to do it. It's all done on your phone anyways. But that is, I think, where it starts in schools. Then we're already missing the entire generations ahead, which now means that those people are all consumers, adults, which now means it's our job as gym owners, as coaches, to try to reach those people and to not just sell fitness as in exercise. We're going to sell fitness as in being actually fit, being healthy, which is
health.
Here's how you should eat to be healthy. You exercise is a part of it, but this is how this works. And people pay money for it because it's fucking the most beneficial thing. It's more valuable than letting people come in and use your weight room. Like it's way more valuable. Trust me. My one-on-one coaching is good. I don't know. I'm not bad at it, but like I promise, the most impact I've had is by coaching those people on their food. That's all we talk about the whole time we're training. Keep them on track with this. That's what this is. So I think it starts with education. I don't know that I want government handing down these curriculums either, which is why I'd like to keep it as simple as possible. But I don't want the demonization of food groups. I think that basic thing is a starting point. And that should, by the way, that should be a part of this initiative. This should be if this isn't, that's criminal.
It's not yet.
It's not yet.
Right?
I haven't heard a fucking word about it.
And that's what causes our radar to be going off, right? Red flags. We're starting to identify it. And that's why we've dedicated quite a few episodes kind of around this topic, because it's not because it just pisses us off and we're kind of calling what we see and saying, hey, this looks like this is going to be a problem. But it's because we and you all that are listening and watching are quite literally the solution if you're going to take responsibility and ownership in your communities. Superman's not coming. He doesn't look like RFK. He definitely doesn't look like Donald Trump. Like it just is, these people aren't those people. Now, we can be so discouraged with situations on any side of politically, economically, any of the things. But if you put too much responsibility, if you build something up to be more than what it truly is, you'll always be disappointed. And this is one of those things where we're not building you up. We're not acting like the responsibility that lies to all of us in our local communities. We're not overinflating that. It's not hyperbole. You literally are the tip of the spear to
you're the messenger, man.
Yeah, it's generational difference.
Yeah. And the other thing I do want to circle back real quick too is how I think this would go if it goes the other way. I think all this talk about government regulation in this thing, I think some of these new people involved in the administration and possibly the administration themselves, I think they're wolf in sheep's clothing, possibly. Let's just be real. I trust no one in government, and to just ever assume that someone's going to come in carrying a fucking plant a flag down. Wow, fuck yeah, thanks RFK. CIA killed your brother and your uncle, or your dad and your uncle. Like fucking, like sure thing, man. Like, but part of me thinks that this whole thing is like a trust operation, which is to get us all to stay back. Say, cool, these guys that say some of the things we want to hear, they got it under control. And I think that's the biggest trap that we can fall into as Americans and as fitness professionals. Because here's how I think it can go if it goes very poorly. This can be weaponized by basically giving our FDA more power, right? They're going to, if it gets used under the guise of like, we're going to clean it up, so we're going to get in and we're going to now say what you can, and these can't be in, and these can't be in, and these can't be in. John, you mentioned that the FDA, you'll get some sort of, issue with, what is it? Fucking like, there was infections in chicken supplies and shit like this, right? You want to tell me that real quick? And how they use essentially a problem that's created by massive, like the big demon of factory farming, and they use that to essentially crush small farms.
Yeah. So those of you that are new to the show, so I dabble with homesteading. So I have chickens. I'm very much in the homesteading universe, right? If you've ever listened to on Joe Rogan, right? Joe Salatin from Polyface Farms, they're right down the road from us. So Polyface Farms, all this world, right, of all this regenerative agriculture type world. And the thing that became really evident to us once we got chickens, so we hold chickens in our backyards, is that you kind of come into this brotherhood where you are now raising theoretically meat or eggs, and you're doing it in your backyard. But where I live in Virginia, there are massive mega factories of chicken houses that are a football field long and 20 yards, 30 yards wide, and they'll house thousands of chickens. And they are cesspools for disease. Massive use of antibiotics, tons of use of bleach and stuff to keep eggs clean, literally go through bleach baths.
It's just like chickens rotting alive while they're forced to eat food to stay alive while they continue to lay eggs until they start to die. And then that's pretty much it.
And they feed them the dead chickens that die of disease. Then they grind them up and then they feed them to them. So this is how Mad Cow happened, right? These same concepts where you are just what happens from factory farming, right? So factory farming is the problem. However, and we all know, anyone knows anything about anything. You see every once in a while, right? 2020 will do a fucking special on it. And you'll see these poor chickens with their beaks that are cut in half and all these horrible, deplorable type conditions. So we all believe it's wrong. We all believe it's to be bad, but we believe ultimately what we've all decided is that it's out of sight, out of mind. I don't want to think about it. I just want to be able to go to the store. I want to be able to get the chicken. I want to be able to get the chicken wings, and I want to be able to go and watch the game. So we stay disconnected from it. What's interesting is once I came into this fraternity of backyard homesteading type people, is that it became very apparent that we're not welcome to do these things. It's an interesting problem that arises where it is then you see from the CDC and then you see from the FDA that if there's conversations about bird flu, which is that shit can be rampant inside of these massive chicken operations, what they do is if there's any outbreak at all, the government can come in, and not only if it's been caused by one of those massive operations that is a cesspool,
which likely is it,
which is where they what it is. So the government can come in and have them kill make them kill all those chickens. This is every once in a while there will be news that will come out where you'll hear, oh, farmer had to kill 10,000 pigs, or 50,000 chickens died in a fire. Right? There's all these weird things that start to pop up. It was really common in 2020 when everything got shut down. But what's interesting is the government can also come to these backyard farms and can force people that just have recreational chickens to kill their chickens as well.
Small to mid-sized too, which is something like Polyface Farms, where it's a little more sustainable, a little more ethical. There's places that have chickens that are done in a way that's probably not going to be an absolute cesspool disease.
No, for sure.
Whatever. But now, once the government goes, well, I mean, we've identified a bird flu case. Actually, we've had our first human death. There's a bird flu, one dead. We're just going to assume now that a correlation between them having bird flu, that's the reason they die. We all learned that from COVID. False positives, that a thing, right? Whatever. But now, because of this, they could go through and say, well, it's time to start. Let's find out where that chicken came from. And let's vaporize all the chickens that came from that operation, just to be safe, all of them in the state. Well, these small spots are not, John, you're not insured for your chickens. And if you were a mid-size operation and you made some of your living off it, you likely still aren't either if you had to come in and just purge them all. And so that's the type of stuff that can come in and absolutely cripple a small, decent, ethical operation. The big spots are going to survive this. It's no different than the COVID lockdowns. What did COVID lockdowns do to small businesses? Absolutely crippled them. Walmart was able to figure it out. Well, they were allowed to stay open, hand in hand with the regulators. So that's my biggest concern with this, is that we're going to give the fucking dumbest, most evil power that has ever existed in human history, which is the United States government, the absolute largest bureaucratic demon that's ever lived, that has spread more death than fucking anybody in the last 10, 20 years, for sure. I'm not saying America is bad. I'm saying this entity is not one that I would be giving more trust and more power to, guys. This is a constantly power accumulating system. Okay. I'm not going to just willingly grant them more power because I'm afraid. Okay. My concern is that this becomes the Patriot Act for food, which is like, how could you dare vote against Make America Healthy Again? It's branding. What, are you going to vote against the Patriot Act right after 9/11? Yeah, we're going to look through all your emails, like all of them, and trap all your phones all the time. And then you have no privacy. And yeah, we can kill American citizens. We can interrogate and torture people as long as it's off our, we just take you somewhere else. All that power we've given them. I believe that that's my concern, is that this thing is a Trojan horse for just growing more and more and more and more government power. The other thing with this, you talk about government being hand in hand with very big business. Okay. The COVID vaccine came out. You and I weren't going to have to pay for it via every time you went in and got jabbed, but they were making an absolute fucking fortune because the government subsidized the development and the fucking distribution of it, which meant Big Pharma was making billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars a year. And it was going to be billions and billions forever and ever and ever because of the booster setup. This was just a giant honeypot for them. And then what was the government trying to do, John? They were going to force everyone to get it. Force everybody. Okay, it was any business that has more than 100 people, you have to. Well, smaller business, yep, you're going to have to. Regular fucking going into restaurants, you're going to have to show your remember vax passports? Remember that stuff? That was fucking real, dude. That was real. Tried. Okay, that's crazy. Okay, that we've already done that type of shit. And then when they talk about, and I'm not anti-Ozempic necessarily. I think for people that need it, people that can use it health, like in a safe way. I'm not out here making recommendations for people to use it, but I think we should also help people who turn to Ozempic, because we can make sure that their results last and that they learn the real way to keep weight off. But then you hear the RFK stuff about maybe we should start subsidizing Ozempic. You're like, oh, well, this is just another honeypot for pharma. Is this whole thing just another way to get? Because if they can get $5-10 billion a year off of this, like, well, what is that over the lifetime of this? That's just for forever. This becomes the new standard. This becomes the new tetanus shot. This becomes your new whatever shots you got to get when you're a kid. But not just one now, John. It's once a week. 52 a year. We're going to start subsidizing this, and that's where that's where my red flags start going off. They want more power, and then they are going to just give taxpayer dollars to how does this sound any different than anything else that should throw up your fucking red flags? It's not about the concept and the branding, because when in regards to people and politicians and pundits, there are people you can watch and you can listen to and you hear them and they say all the right things. They do. You hear them say the things. And at some point you have to go, if I'm taking this man at his word, which if I'm looking at a normal person face to face, the words they tell me matter. It's not on me to sit here and go, I think he's, so I'm usually pretty good at that. But like at some point, the things you say, well, fine, I'll hold you to the things that you say. Well, they're saying the things about the food stuff that's good. Yeah, we're going to try and make America healthy. And they're saying all this stuff, but there's a lot of these underpinning things that are moving through here that throw a lot of alarms off. I remember being one of the most liberal people in my fucking sphere of influence here during the post 9/11 era. So I was like, why the fuck are we going to war with Iraq? Like, what is all this, right? Barack Obama comes along and he's like, I was the one against the war in the beginning. And he spoke really well and he said the most anti-war shit in the beginning. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. And I couldn't for the life of me understand why anybody wasn't going to vote for that guy on that one issue alone. I really didn't. So how could you not? It's the most important issue of our fucking era. We're finally going to undo this fucking war machine. Thank God. But then what they say and what they do, two very different things. And the people who were older, maybe a little bit wiser back then, who called me a fucking dipshit, maybe they were right. So they're like, just don't believe him. And I was like, I don't know what to say. But the other guy's saying he's just going to do war, though. So I'm like, I don't know. Like maybe who am I supposed to go with here? The fact is, they both were going to do war no matter what. And I think that that's kind of the thing that is. I've been burned enough by listening to people at their word, right, in regards to politics and government. So I don't think that this is a place where we should just take these guys at their word. I think you need to make noise about this. You also need to take personal responsibility and like run with these concepts. Use the fact that they are using this to get attention and then take that momentum and attention and pivot it in your community. This becomes call it like reaction videos. See all these reaction videos on TikTok or YouTube where it's whatever the most viral thing and thirsty subject that's going on. Somebody who doesn't have much else to say about that specific issue is just going to post that thing. And then they'll come on and give a hot take. Fine, do that. Do whatever version of that yours is, whether it's just writing, whether it's in your marketing, whatever this is. But there is something for you to take the momentum. There's an idea of concept for you here, which is to take the momentum from all of this attention and publicity that this subject is getting and make sure that that attention gets directed somewhere important before it all dies off.
And it's just like you said, you take advantage of a situation for you to draw a line in the sand because there's lines being drawn, and either they're going to be drawn by people who have really big budgets and really big interests, and they're going to draw lines in the sand. And that's not necessarily going to be what's best for us or best for the people that live in your community. And it does get quite regional. Yeah. There's going to be certain elements where it doesn't really fucking matter. Like people in Virginia don't really give a fuck about the fires in California. I was only on my radar because I'm from California. It's like, oh, fuck, I used to go there. Like that shit is on fire now. Like it's like, all right, I have a little bit more interest there, but people don't. So you got to remember that like the machine is going to feed all of us the same diet. So that diet's getting fed to everybody. And it's not necessarily that it's super relevant to us as a group of where you live. And this is where you can start to translate. And I think that's what's really important is helping people understand. And a lot of times you're gonna have to translate it. Because the very first thing I wanted to say, Tyler, is you kind of proposed of like, well, like what would be some actions that we would want to see that we're moving in the right direction to actually make people healthier? The first thing I would say is like, how about you go fucking talk to farmers? Go talk to farmers who are growing the food, growing the meat, doing all the things, right? But here, let me
farmers here don't grow food, John. That's the problem. They don't grow food,
and that's exactly where I was going to go, Tyler.
Our ag here is billions and billions of dollars out of here. I have clients that are farmers. They make more money than anybody else, hands down. There is not a little bit of money in farming here because it's fucking enormous. They built in this town of 25,000 people a $2 billion soybean processing plant. It's the biggest fucking construction project that has happened in the state of South Dakota since the fucking Owyhee Dam on the Missouri River, which was like a fucking insane one of those public works projects post World War II, right? Just a fucking behemoth that changed the physical landscape of the entire fucking state. And they just stuck that down the road here a couple years ago, and it's just soybean processing. This is the thing. They don't grow food here. We grow corn for ethanol, and soybeans for seed oils.
So this is where I was going, which is this idea where it's like, but if you're not careful and you don't have someone that's going to help translate it, which is you all have to be, we and you have to be the people that are doing this. It's if you don't translate it, you could hear that Farmers for America Incorporated, right? Lobbyist group, whatever it is, those farmers, they support the Maha movement. They support all these things that they're doing. And if you're not careful, you could say, well, farmers are all about this. And how can you, the farmers, they're the backbone of they're the backbone of our food, all these things, right? All this stuff that gets said. But if you're not, and this is again, is asking the why. Well, which farmers? I'm not being conspiratorial. I want to know more about this situation, because if you're not careful, if you don't know a lot of that history, right? Well, guess what? Farmers that grow corn, right, for ethanol, or they grow corn, say for high fructose corn syrup. Well, why is there such strong tariffs against sugar coming from outside the country that makes sugar pretty much impossible to put into sodas, because the big companies that are here are not going to spend that much more money when the government has subsidized corn that's going to be grown for corn syrup, and therefore it's corn. It's what's that phrase, right, Kyle? It's Tyler. It is the idea of water all around, but not a single drop to drink. And it was this idea of like the sailor being abandoned. And it's like he'll die anyway, and he's literally on a thing of blood. There's corn all around, but there's none to eat. And you have all of this corn that's out there that's not fucking edible for human consumption, and yet we continue to do that.
We feed America. We're out here feeding America. John, I got farmers here that don't, by the way, nobody here does livestock anymore. Almost nobody. Why? It's too much work. Going into cattle, you're going to move. That's way too much work. So they're going to grow corn, and it's going to be corn that's going to be made for ethanol, and they're going to use the same fucking field for it over and over again until it's just burned. But that is when they say this, because every time something comes out or the farm bill's got to be renewed, all they say now is, oh, thank God the farm bill passed. Oh, what, you're against the farm bill? That's all it is. Farm bill positive. Farm bill positive or farm bill negative? It's not, well, what the fuck is in here? That's the question. All it does is secures their subsidies. It doesn't matter if it's important or relevant or whatever. And that gets secured. But I'll hear farmers, people I know here who just, by the way, like will spend 5-6 months of the year just day drinking in bars because they don't do anything. You know what I mean? It's essentially, these are also people, it's just their daddy's businesses also. And no offense to them, but everybody's running their daddy's business. You didn't start a farm this year. You didn't start a farm when you became an adult. That's never, by the way, that hasn't happened in 2 or 3 generations here. It's not real. That's not real. This is your daddy giving you a business, and that's fine. But like, that's what this is. So don't pretend like you built this. But when they come at the farm, they'll say like, oh, what, you're going to be against the farm bill? Just because, no, I'm against like government taking my money and then spending, hey, that you want them to just give it to you. Great. But then can you make something that's fucking useful? Because I don't need more corn syrup. I don't know what to say. I'm not buying it. Ethanol is kind of not, that ship has kind of sailed. We're just making it for no reason now because it's entrenched in there. It's not really all that useful. It doesn't contribute a ton. It now is a percentage of what we're doing, but it's not necessary. I'm going to touch on this spiral that this happens one more time here. There's a company that makes, I believe it's like the Abrams tank, right? And what they do is there's this whole operations in multiple different cities, these big government contracting factories that come in. These tanks, they get sent back to the States. They get stripped down, rebuilt, recommissioned, and right. Well, with all of what modern war is, this was like almost a decade ago too. They're like, the government said, the Pentagon, all their reports said there's no more reason for us to continue manufacturing these. And there's no more reason for us to continue to basically refurbish and recommission these. None. It is all a waste of money. Okay. So the Pentagon comes and said, we don't need these anymore. Boom, we're going to, hey, you know what? Factories got to get shut down. I don't know what to say, right? Or they got to pivot, or you got to start making something else. I don't know what to say, but we don't need this anymore. However, all of the voting population in those communities all fucking bitched and moaned, and now you have entire constituencies complaining that we're going to lose 500 jobs. It's like, yes, because those jobs don't produce anything of value. This is what happens if we're stuck in this spot where we make a bunch of shit that doesn't have any value. And here we sit. So they go through and they then applied a bunch of pressure to the politicians. So the people doing war go and say, these things aren't any good for us for war anymore. And then the Congress essentially says, we're going to keep making them. You're going to keep using them. Sorry. And that's what's happened with these subsidies. I'm worried that that's what's going to happen with a lot of this other regulation and stuff too, is that now we're going to subsidize Ozempic instead of subsidizing the education or subsidizing. Maybe we can do a combination of all of it. Systemically, it's too complicated of an issue for us to have a one-prong solution. And I think that's what's important. This is why I don't like the single line conversation that we've been having so far.
And what pisses me off the most, Tyler, about all of this is that this is all one big mental masturbation exercise. It doesn't actually, at the end of the day, all of this is a massive fucking waste of time to think about, to talk. Now you can move needles if you are involved in government and lobby, all that good shit. But if we're talking about what you can do, something that's meaningful every single fucking day inside your community, in your families, for you personally, right? It's none of this that we just talked about of lobbyists and fucking the corn and diet. It doesn't fucking matter. None of it matters, because if you're really trying to make a difference, you're going to help those 250 fucking million people, that's 74% of your fucking community that is grotesquely overweight and needs to be able to get the help, and they need to be advocated for. That's what, and so, yeah, guess what? We're going to boil the whole fucking thing down to probably don't fry everything. Well, there's a whole bunch of new, no. Wasting time.
Walk down your streets when the weather's nice. Go to your grocery store. As you, as the gym owner, as the fit person who, beginners, these beginners, maybe they got to worry about calorie balance, but we got to get the food. Go walk around your town. Just look around. See how many could benefit from losing 10, 15, 20, 30, 50, 80, 100 pounds. See how many there are. Then count how many leads you get, and new leads you get in a month. How many of those you close. Then count how many people have lost 15, 20 pounds in the last couple months out of your gym. It's likely not that many on one side of that coin. On the other, there's quite a few. So this is where your opportunity lies. This is how you bulletproof your gym for the future too. People will all, until we've solved this problem will always need to be solved, and there will always be a market for it. Or you can sit and wait for someone to come solve it for you. Take all the money and fucking benefits. Ozempic comes along, by the way. They subsidize Ozempic. I'm an advocate for it. Still, not the subsidizing, but for some people, if you're at your wit's end, fine, start taking something that's going to get you results. We'll build the habits as we go. I can still work with you on it. But I promise you, if it's available, much like it is the flu shot, people, where it's just free and easy and you can go get it at fucking county fair or whatever, like
CVS, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is going to crush gyms. I think there is a decent subset of the population that will lose some fat and get leaner and really like the way that they look and feel, and it may inspire them and give them more energy to go and get into gyms. Or they got that without going to the gym.
Right. And we're getting long in the tooth here, but that idea, it's, guess what companies will probably advocate for Ozempic to be subsidized? Well, I bet it's going to be everyone that makes a wearable at-home workouts, digital platform.
Everything that's not you as a gym owner.
That's not you, not brick and mortar, because you're the problem. Yeah. Ultimately, this could be done. You guys have fucking failed to find these motherfuckers. You failed to fucking get them this whole time. This is me. I feel like I bitch at our audience a lot. I use the you guys, but like us as in us, we have failed to fucking connect to these people. We have failed to speak to them, failed to attract them, failed to guide them to success. And if you've been in business for a long time and you're still not fucking turning out a bunch of real deal fucking transformations, you've been in business making money, not doing a whole lot other than giving people a spot to come in and spin their wheels. Which is great. People need exercise, but that is not that impactful, dude. If you close, they're going to go fucking walk on a treadmill somewhere else. They're going to go 3, 2, 1, go and play some techno somewhere else. They're going to do all that shit somewhere else, and their life's going to fucking go on just fine. There are plenty of people out there who would pay you a bunch of money for you to change their goddamn lives. Every one of those successes will bring you 100 more people just like that. If you just keep your fucking eye on the ball here, all right? Yeah, so and you're distracted.
So mean to you guys like that.
Well, yeah, we're used to it by now.
I really love you guys.
No, and you're distracted by design, and that's probably the biggest thing out of all this. If you've made it all the way through, good for you.
Might have got you derailed on the conspiracy stuff. But thanks for sticking around.
No, I think it's good. I think it's because it tie it in, because it comes. The reason why we bring all these things in is because it's what principles, right, are true. right? And they can be found everywhere. And that's always been what we always will talk about. The things that we do, they're true in all these other industries and all these different areas. That's why it makes it true here as well. So they're patterns, right? All those patterns that we see. But it is, you are confused, you're being distracted by design. So don't get distracted. Stay in the, if you spend as much time as you may doom scrolling and arguing about bullshit that doesn't actually affect you, it doesn't affect your people. It doesn't affect your immediate community. It doesn't affect what you do in your business that then feeds your family and feeds you and allows you to go on vacations, allows you to be able to live a life that's worth living. If you spend as much time as you did on the shit that doesn't affect any of those things, and you actually started to put in time of how can I make what I'm doing better, reach the beginners, if you just took a fraction of that time, things really could start to get gnarly in what was possible, what you could do, the success that you could be able to create, the ripple effect you can make inside your communities. But you have to allow yourself not to get distracted by the machine and all of the fear porn and anger porn that's going to get put in front of you on a daily basis. Be like, can't fuck that. Why am I even thinking about this?
I've made a very concerted effort. Let's give you some actionables here, right? Obviously I know where to direct your energy. John, you got to go right now. Are you good?
No, I'm good.
Okay, good. I have done some directing now. It's been, so it's been about 10 or 11 days when I've been directing my personal training, marketing stuff, selling my nutrition stuff, weight loss programs, workout programs, as well as one-on-one personal training, towards new people, and not getting too preachy about the details. Like literally, here's me microwaving egg whites. Here's also me microwaving egg whites. Here's this free little challenges. I got some people involved in it. People are seeing it. I've been seeing this, the downstream effect from just putting out this content once a day, just once a day. Something practical, something developed for absolute beginners. This could just be a photo and some text that you do, whatever you want to do. But I have now, in 11 days, I've got probably like 20 leads. And I'm nobody with no brain. You know what I mean? Like this is not, so that direction of your messaging towards weight loss, towards just the practical shit. Like, here's the thing that you can do, right? This is all I'm saying. Like, try this. My thing I'm running this month, that I'm like, if anyone wants a little tip, I'm going to do it this month. Try to eat somewhere between a half carton of egg whites and a whole carton of egg whites every day. What else you eat? Yeah, rein it in. Low calories is nice. But like, if you can get that in, it's high protein, low calorie, you'll be full. I don't know. Let's see what happens. There's so many people in this, to the point where, John, people can't get egg whites in this town anymore.
Yeah, you fucking have caused all the egg whites.
I bought like 20 cartons because they age well, and then everybody else has gone in like, oh, they're out. I got to go to the other store. They're out. Someone went in today. They're out. Same thing with those keto buns, right? The affordable keto buns, gone all the fucking time. I haven't gotten them in like 2 or 3 weeks. I got them yesterday, and I bought all of them. Fuck everybody else.
Yeah, fuck
you. But that's my thing. It's like, this now has worked. And now, how many of those have closed? Some. Not a ton, but these are all in the pipeline now, right? And my plan is, I'm just going to stay with this level of like prolific, annoying to probably normies who aren't doing business, which should annoy the fuck out of them. I don't care, because there's a ton of, I get messages every day from people that are fired up about it. I get messages every day from people that are stoked about it and that are really enjoying it, and it's lit in a fire and they're back on track now and all of this stuff. I'm going to do this for 2 months. And let's just see what shakes out. Spend 8 weeks making something for them every day, something easy. Give them something to consume, or an idea, or just content directed to them. It doesn't have to be video. It doesn't have to be you on your face. It doesn't have to be anything. Just give them some value and then make an ask. Okay? That's it. Make an ask every couple of posts, and the leads just shake out. My phone goes off constantly ever since then. And it's not that hard. That's the difference between me sitting here going like, here, training, fitness, health, or just like, hey, you, the fat one. You know, I do want to give one more update for you guys, because I was harder on this guy in the beginning than I should have been, but I want you guys to know that my Philly creamy cheesecake guy,
cheesesteak.
If
it was Philly, if it was creamy cheesecake, it would be a problem.
That was Monday. Today is Thursday, and I want you to know that this person is down 9 pounds. Because they are cutting out all the carbs and all the bullshit and all of that stuff. That's a very fast weight. This person has a lot of weight to lose. But that's the difference. I fucking was real firm about it. I just got the check-in. I'm like, hell yeah. Good. It's moving. It's moving. And that's what they need, is they need momentum. And from there, they can build the habits around that as the ball's moving forward. So there's hope. You just got to learn how to work with these people, and you got to know who they are, and you got to identify. And if you've never been one of them, that's okay. Ask the people that you work with. Ask it. So when you talk about how you're going to shape this, ask the people who you have helped to lose a bunch of weight. And if you haven't, fuck you, get a different job. Okay. I went through all of my most beginner guys who have lost a ton of weight, who didn't really train at all. My guys who lost the most weight. And I said, if I could bottle what you had when you first started, put that in a pill or whatever. If that's the thing that I could package to give to everybody, like what was that? What was the thing that made, because they were just going to do it. There was no bullshit. There was none of this shit that I get sometimes from people. And I found the most common thread is like, they just really hated themselves and the way they looked, and they didn't feel good. And it was like self-hate and self-loathing. And they were sad and constantly disappointed themselves and ashamed and all that stuff. And like, okay, that's it. Now you can't be the fit person sitting here and be like, you're fucking fat, bro. And you fucking, like, I know that, but you have to understand what's going on in their brain. Okay. And so there's something that can be massaged out of that self-hatred and that shame that they're feeling. But you need to understand what those people are thinking and were thinking. If you don't know, talk to the people you've helped and say, I'm trying to get more people like you. Will you write your experience for me, just in like 3 paragraphs, what it was like for you when you finally decided, or the week before, or the 2 weeks before you decided to really make the change? Use their words, and that will speak more than anything you're ever going to say yourself. So that's a little tip for you. Post prolifically, get words, get copy, get some sort of understanding from people that have been there, and speak to these beginners. Don't walk past these beginners to worry about the guy who's already got abs. You're missing the fucking boat. And you're going to struggle to get new business if you're only doing old business. Thanks for listening, everybody. Gym Owners Podcast on the Gym Owners Podcast on Instagram. That's as rant heavy as we've been in a long time.
I would agree. It's also one of our longest episodes.
I didn't get the Randy show in this week, so it was like, fuck it. Thanks for listening, though. If you want to work with us directly and want to have us help you execute some 8 and 12-week action plans for your gym, customized for your gym, shoot us a message, an email at thedudes@hackyourgym.com. We'll make your gym kick ass here in 8 to 12 weeks. We'll hold your feet to the fire. We'll hold you accountable and walk you through every step of the way. Customized for your gym, your programs, your needs, etc. Your lowest hanging fruit. We're going to make sure we get a good turnaround on this very quickly. But we can only take so many of those. So if you do want in, you are going to need to get pretty quickly on this, because it is January. We tend to get much busier as February and March rolls around while people prep for summer. So anything else, follow me at Tyler F. Stone. That's Tyler EFF Stone. And John?
And you can follow me at jbanksfl. And if you want to be able to get an idea of the types of action plans that we do put together, we do have a results first as part of our Revolution framework. You can shoot us a message too at the Gym Owners Podcast. Shoot us a DM there, and we can send that to you. It really is one of those things. Give you action plans, gives you an idea of, you build your own game plan, how you're going to execute these things, what tasks to do, and it helps you kind of build the foundation. How do you make results the primary focus of everything that you do in your gym? It's the very first thing that we do with everybody that works with us one-on-one or inside of our Gear Academy. And this gives you that taste of that. And and it'll help you kind of get things started. Start of the new year, people are going to fall off the wagon. Come February, you want to be able to have an action plan going into spring.
Results for your clients, results for your wallet. Hit us up. So thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.